Welcome back. Well, time for a check on the media sector's performance on the share market this week. We're joined by Evan Lucas from IG. Evan, good to see you there. Been hearing about Ten's grab for Cricket Australia's TV rights. Has there been any movement in the share price as a result of this sort of news?
Unfortunately, not with regards to the obviously the CA sort of takeover. Ten's actually obviously come back quite strongly since it reached 37 cents sort of about a week and a half ago. And I think if you have a look at the reasons behind Channel 10 jumping into the CA rights, it's partly because it's the one area of the market that it currently doesn't have any exposure to. That sporting area has really been dominated by 9 and 7 in the free-to-air. We're also having issues with regards to obviously Foxtel. So it is an opportunity for Ten to actually finally get hold of a fairly good stream of viewers and hopefully see that advertising dollar jump up a little bit higher than it already has, and that's part of the reason why Ten's price has probably come back in the last week and a half.
Just, of course, on the other story we touched on earlier, Nine trying to get around the reach rule to try and find a way for a tie-up with Southern Cross Stereo. What's been the reaction on the market?
Yeah, look, the market's actually quite like this whole idea. Obviously, it came out on Wednesday. It came out on Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. We did actually see Southern Cross actually jump up a little bit on this. It moved back up to about $1.56, a little bit higher again. Look, it's come off today, obviously, because the broader market's down. But there is a possibility now that this deal might get up. The fact that obviously they are looking at holding those 200 regional jobs and actually making sure that regional material remains. And that was the one issue that obviously the government, particularly with that reach rule, had. And it may actually see the deal getting a little bit further ahead, and the market's obviously responded to the fact that that actually could be a possibility, and that's why we've seen Southern Cross probably move up over the last 3 or 4 days.
Evan, thanks so much for bringing us up to date.
Thanks, Brady.
Evan Lucas there from IG. Let's return to our co-host James Manning, editor and publisher of Mediaweek. James, there we are looking at the TV ratings for week 15. It's all about 2 shows, really, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. That top 5, it's all The Voice, isn't it? And you flick the page and it's all about the other show, My Kitchen Rule. So it's a big ding-dong battle at the moment between those 2 major formats, and sort of 10 sort of sandwiched in the middle, really, trying to do as best as it can.
Looking at subscription TV, it's a battle between the 2 football codes there, the NRL and the AFL.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. It's NRL, AFL. Some of those NRL games are exclusive to Fox Sports, but the AFL share some of those matches with Seven, the free-to-air rights holder, and Selling Houses. I think that was the last show in the current series, squeezing into the top 10.
All right, let's ask you about some other news. We were hearing Evan Lucas mentioning this as well. Ten getting these exclusive negotiations with Cricket Australia. How significant is this?
Yeah, it seems to indicate that if it goes the way most people think it'll be, perhaps 10 will be the underbidder when it comes to finally settling, because 9 still does hold that ace, if you like, of having the last rights bid. So whatever, say, 10 comes up with their sort of final offer, all 9 has to do is sort of just beat that by whatever amount, and they get to keep the rights. So it will really have to be a knockout blow from 10 to walk away with those rights. And you've got to ask the question, gee, have they got the funds to do that? You know, they've got their debt down to a manageable level. Are they going to risk, you know, go out on a limb and offer up that sort of cash that would win those rights?
We did see, of course, Adam Scott, first Australian to win a US Masters. What sort of impact did that have for 10 and its ratings?
Well, it was massive, but the trouble was it was sort of, you know, so far off peak that it was, like, the coverage started at 4 a.m. The coverage peaked between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. when it got them, you know, like 768,000. I think it was the second most watched program for the whole day. You know, it rated what they had in most offerings in prime time that night, which is great news. And hopefully they were promoting some of their big ticket primetime items, so that was a bit of a rub for them, getting some promotional activity to viewers who might normally be at 10, so that was good. But long term, gee, you got to think it's probably not going to have a big impact.
What about, I guess, another sporting hero, Black Caviar's retement? Was this a boom for TV and newspapers?
Yeah, look, Black Caviar's been great. It's been great for Seven with those covering those race meets where Black Caviar shows up. Been getting some great figures on Saturday afternoons. Newspapers have been really loving it. They've been running posters, updates on what's happening, so they're going to certainly miss all that. But the good news is there'll be plenty of foals to come. So, so the media will be tracking all those sort of yearling sales and all that when those horses are sold, and then tracking, you know, all the meets where those horses compete. So there'll be sort of some upside with all the
years of
caviar.
coverage. We've had some news too from News Corp. It's revealed the name for its spin-off company.
Yeah, 21st Century Fox it's going to be called. So yeah, and that's going to include any of those sort of broadcast businesses around the world, if you like, with a Fox in the name or FX in the name, excepting Australia, of course, where Foxtel will stay with the publishing side of the company and the Fox Sports business as well.
The new News Corp.
Yes, yeah. I don't know if that's, well, will be called News Corp, but it's being referred to as the new News Corp, which is a little bit confusing.
Okay. On Anzac Day, of course, coming up next week, and what are some of the news coverage that we can expect, or the media coverage?
Yeah, Sky News always has a great coverage that day, including the dawn service from both here and then from Anzac Cove. But Fairfax Radio is doing something interesting. They've got Justin Smith, who's sort of a fill-in host for them. He's also the producer of Neil Mitchell's morning show. He's going to be in Afghanistan, so he's going to do some broadcasts at the start of that next week for 3AW. Then on Anzac Day, he's going to do the whole morning broadcast from Afghanistan with the Australian troops over there. So proved to be fascinating viewing. So it's on 3AW, 4BC in Brisbane, 2UE here in Sydney, and over in Adelaide on 6PR. Perth, sorry, on 6PR.
Also coming up next week, the History Channel is going to be screening the Oliver Stone doco on the history of the US.
Yeah, the untold history of the US, 10-part series that reportedly fascinating viewing, 7:30 on Tuesday nights. But the interesting thing is Stan Grant from Sky News has been over in London. He did an interview with Oliver Stone about the series, and Sky News is running that this coming Saturday on in the afternoon at 2:30, I think, then again in the evening about 9:30.
Just back to with the ratings that we were seeing earlier there, and this battle between My Kitchen Rules and The Voice. Well, how is that battle progressing?
Yeah, well, they've clashed 3 nights of this week so far. The Voice has sort of walked away the winner, but the viewers' alternative viewing, if you like, My Kitchen Rules, has certainly been bringing those voice numbers are down a lot on last year. My Kitchen Rules numbers were so good on the 3rd night where they went head-to-head that 7 actually won the night. So they had some better alternative programming after those 2 reality shows finished. So 7's been holding up pretty well, and that's been their strategy with The Voice this year. They weren't happy with how they competed against The Voice last year, so they wanted to drag out My Kitchen Rules a bit longer, offer an alternative, and their strategy seems to be working so far. But 9's still number 1. Who will win this week, we're not sure. 7's got a chance.
7's launched the new drama, A Place to Call Home, this week. Have you seen it yet?
Yeah, look, I've seen that first episode. It's brilliant. Haven't revealed a time slot yet. Some people are guessing Sunday evening, maybe as a replacement for Downton Abbey. Comes from Bevan Lee, who he talked this week at the launch. He's best known perhaps for he calls it his Happy Trilogy, which was always greener, packed to the rafters and winners and losers. He said, look, if I was going to do another series, I wanted to do something really completely different. And he says that's what this one is, A Place to Call Home. So, yeah, it's great. Lots of potential. The first episode really gets you in. There's a few mysteries that you want to hang around and watch how they play out.
Just finally, very quickly, 9 dropping Days of Our Lives.
Yeah, giving their daytime schedule a bit of a shake-up after about 45 years. Foxtel, perhaps the natural home for the program. They run a few other of the sort of soaps that have disappeared off free-to-air. 9 yet to unveil what they'll do with their daytime schedule, but we'll be there when they reveal it.
Absolutely. James Manning, as always,
Brian.
thank you. That's all we've got time for on Media Week from the team here. Thanks for your company.